Hi people, welcome back to my channel. My name is Jane. You're welcome to a new video. So today's video I'll be showing us how to make a bustier tube top with a sweetheart neckline. And if you're new here, you're welcome. Kindly subscribe if you're yet to subscribe, and also support my channel by liking my video, and also you can leave a comment in the comment section. So I have my pattern already drafted here. I'm going to run down on the lines so we can get started. So first off, I have the center line, I have the neckline, I have the shoulder line, I have the armhole line right there, and I have the chest line, the bust line, the underbust line, and the waistline. I also have my waist dart as well. So this is just so that this video does not get too long, and I have previously drafted this in my channel. I will leave the link in the description box. So first thing is to go to the shoulder line and divide the shoulder by 2, and whatever value you get after dividing by 2, you place that mark on that point, and you connect that point to touch your apex. So after you've gotten the value of your shoulder divided by 2 at the midpoint, you connect that to touch your apex line. Now after getting that apex line, after getting that straight line from the shoulder to the bust, now we are going to create a neckline for this pattern. So for this, I'm going to go up by 2 inches from my bust line. So to create a new neckline for this bustier, I will be going 2 inches upward from my bust line to create a new neckline for this. And to do this, after marking the point where I have the 2 inches, I'm going to go back in with my straight ruler to create broken lines, so that you will know that this is a new neckline for the pattern. Okay, so that's what I'm using, broken lines on it. I know the pattern already has a lot of lines, so we don't want to get confused on that. So these broken lines that I've just added to this pattern is the new neckline for this top. Now after you've gotten this, now you're going to have to take a dart on that neckline. You know it's a strapless bustier and you don't want your boobs falling out, so I'm going to be taking a dart of 0.75 on both sides. So at the point where you have that line running across in between all of your pattern, you're going to be taking a dart of 0.75 on both sides of the line. So I'll mark 0.75 at the right and also 0.75 at the left. And what I'll do after marking those 2 points is to connect them back to touch the bust line. So I'll just go ahead and use my ruler. You can use your straight ruler if you don't have a curved one to connect these 2 points together. So I'll just go ahead and do this right now. Please, while connecting these dart legs, ensure that at that point where you took a dart on the neckline, that dart there is not too curvy, okay, so that you won't have difficulties with having to join the 2 pieces together. So here now I have drawn in my darts from the new neckline to meet my apex, that's to meet the bust line. And now we've gotten this, next I'm going to go ahead and create the neckline for this pattern. And I said I wanted a sweetheart neckline, so from the point where you took your dart on your new neckline, you're going to be connecting a curve to touch your chest line. So it's that easy. So you just go ahead and watch the way I'm doing it on this video. So you just place your curve like that and you connect it right to touch your chest line. You can decide to come a little bit deeper depending on what you're comfortable with and how exposed you want your cleavage to be. But at the same time, I discovered that I wanted my neckline to a little bit higher, so I added half an inch again. So I redrafted my neckline, so I added half an inch because I wanted it to be a little bit higher on that point. So, and then I reconnected it back to touch my chest line. So for one side of this pattern, the neckline has been formed, so I'm just going to go ahead and erase the old line we have so that it doesn't confuse some of our beginners. So now after creating that neckline right there, next thing I will be doing is to create the side seam for this pattern. Notice that the pattern doesn't have a side seam yet, so we are going to first create the side seam for the pattern before we can go ahead and continue with the other parts of the dart. In creating the side seam, you need to get your bust circumference divided by 4. You place that value on your chest line, and you come up to your dart at the neckline. You measure what you have on your dart. You also transfer that to your side. Now after you've gotten this, you're going to come down to your waistline, your waist circumference divided by 4. You mark that down on the line, and then you also place the dart you took on your waist. You also transfer it back to the side as well. So now all of the darts that we've taken on this pattern have been added back to the side. It is now time for you to create the side seam. So you just take your ruler and you connect from the chest down to the waistline of this pattern. So here we have our side seam already formed. And do not forget that we're also going to be adding a bust dart to this. So you come down from your chest line by 2 inches and you place a mark right there, and then you're going to be connecting that mark to touch your apex, that is to touch your bust line. So this is the bust dart for this pattern. So the reason why we're using a bust dart, because the pattern we're using, the measurement we're using, the front is longer than the back, and for them to align by the side you need a bust dart. So after creating this bust dart, I'm going to come down to my underbust to create the underbust tightening. So what you will do is you place your tape at your underbust line and you measure your underbust circumference divided by 4. Whatever value that is, you place it on that line. Now you see, after placing that value on that line, I still have extra towards the side seam, and what that extra is, I'm going to use that for the dart. So on that extra that I've gotten, I'm going to place a dart towards the center front line. I'm going to be placing the greater value of the dart towards the side front, and towards the center front I'm going to be placing a lesser number. So let's say after marking my underbust line, the remnant I had was 1.5 inch, so half an inch I placed towards the center front and the other 1 inch I placed towards the side front. Now after you've placed this dart, you are now going to connect it to touch the bust line. Okay, after you've taken that curve, you're going to have to bring down that curve to touch the waistline. So that you took at the underbust tightening, you're going to have to bring it down to touch your waistline. So that way your underbust line has been created, the tightening has been created at the underbust, and also some tightening has also been created towards the waistline. After you've done this, now the underbust tightening has been created and the dart leg has been brought down. We are going to just go ahead and create our curve at the bust line there. So you see that we still have our lines not joining together at the bust line. So I'll just use my ruler there to close off those lines, ensuring that you don't have sharp corners towards those directions, because you want, when you are making this pattern, you don't want sharp edges running at that point. So here, after creating that, we're going to move up to the chest line. So for the neckline of this, I'm going to go ahead and finish it off. I've done the center front neckline, which is the sweetheart neckline. So for the side now, you just take your ruler and then create a curve that is touching the dart leg to meet your chest line. Now, because it's a tube top, you might want to have to come down by half an inch towards your chest line, depending on what your preference is. But for this video, I'm going to just create that curve from the dart to touch my chest line, and then I'm going to leave it like that. But if you don't want the curve at your underarm to be directly on your chest line, you can come down by half an inch. Whichever one works, it's perfect. So here I'm going to go ahead and cut out my pattern, and ensure that you cut out all of the darts. And also, for when you get to the side of this pattern, so you can see we have the center front and the side front. Now by the time you get to your side, ensure that you fold in your darts. Very, very important. Ensure that you fold in your side darts before cutting out the side of your pattern. Now when you're done cutting out this pattern, I'm going to set this aside, and then we can add our sewing allowances to it later on. but this is what the front looks like without the sewing allowance yet. Now I'm going to move on to cutting the back. I have a pattern on the back already, an already drafted pattern. It has a zipper line, it has all of the sewing allowances on it. It has the waistline, it has the darts, it has the side seam. I have 1 inch sewing allowance at the side and also at the waistline. So here, to create the neckline of the back, what you need to do is on the parts where you have your chest line, we are going to be modifying that part. So where you have your chest line, you're going to come down by 1/2 inch. So on your zipper line, you're going to be taking 1/2 inch downward, depending on what your preference is. If you want to come down by 1 inch, depending on how deep you want your neckline to be, you can go ahead and do that. I already drafted this pattern on my channel. I'll leave in the link also in the description box. So now you've gotten that 1/2 inch downward, I will just take my ruler and I'll create a curve to touch the side of my pattern. So I will create this curve to touch the chest line. You can see the way I created that, and that is it for the back. Next, you are going to be adding 1/2 inch to it at the neckline right there, and then we can go ahead and cut out the pattern. And also, when you cut out the pattern, you are also cutting out the darts as well. So this is it. The back is the simplest thing. It's very simple and easy. So I've cut out my pattern. All I need to do is to now add seam allowance towards the inside of the pattern. This is it. I've added 1/2 inch to the back inner seam and also to the front as well. Towards the bust line, I've added 1/2 inch seam allowance to it. Alright guys, this is the end of this video. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give me a like, subscribe to the channel, watch my videos, leave a comment in the comment section, and I'll see you guys in my next one. Remain blessed. Bye.